two documents I want to walk you through in this quick video. The first is the learning objectives for the course. Every course that you have should have specific things that it's trying to teach you about or be successful with, and there should be a list. Now, my list used to be very short, like you saw in the syllabus, or like is still in the syllabus, and that list is somewhat vague. There are 4 or 5 things that talk about, well, we're going to learn about mechanics of materials. This list is very specific, and you'll see it's a bit longer. There are, if I zoom all the way down to the bottom, there are 25 different things that I want to point to and go, these are things that you're going to learn. And so there you go, okay, I understand what then I'm accountable for during the course of the semester and what I have to do. Now, some of these are fairly straightforward, some of these are not, but these should lay out, if you want to know where we are in the course and what you're accomplishing, what we're working towards. Often in the lecture, I will point to, we're working on goal number 12, and then specifically we'll be working on that particular item. But so my learning objectives were done to get us all on the same page about what we're trying to accomplish. Oh, I didn't mean to put that there. I meant to type a 2 over here because that changes the scene. Prior to taking the class, a student is expected to apply some of the forces and some of the moments is equal to 0. That is, I need you to be able to solve a static body problem. The reason I've limited it to statics is dynamics just makes it a little more complicated. If you can do the statics, you can do the dynamics. I want you to be able to demonstrate an understanding of two-force member. I want you to show me that you've been able to do that those forces only act along the line of the two-force member between the 2 connection points, even when they're assembled into a truss structure. If you remember, that has some assumptions associated with it, but that's okay. I want you to be able to use trig to look at situations and resolve vectors into components. I want you to be able to identify the important features of a stress-strain plot. That comes out of material science. That's not a 202 statics and dynamics problems. And I want you to be able to calculate geometric properties of areas and volumes. Technically, that's calculus. We will figure out some tricks, and you probably know a lot of them, but that is some calculus. So you can see in a big picture way, we're incorporating calculus, material science, statics, and dynamics into this class. Now, by the end of the course, students are going to be able to, and here starts our list. Number 1, apply definitions of the normal stress and shear stress. These equations are equations I would like you to have memorized, and I'm going to quiz you. So when we talk about quizzes for recall, look for those items to show up. You'll see another one down here, strain, shear strain. Apply the definitions of normal stress and shear stress, normal stress, shear stress, solving for any variable and using the equation and deriving further more complicated equations. And we can walk through these one by one, but we're going to do that throughout the course of the semester. Know this document is available. I'm going to post this in the Teams administrative section, and you'll be able to see how this plays out then during the course of the semester. What I will try to do, and I'm trying to be every semester, I'm trying to be more and more organized on this. What I will do is look at each lecture, and when I'm preparing it, whether that's a PowerPoint or whether that's on a piece of paper with a document camera, I will try to make sure that I'm referring to the specific learning outcome that we're working towards so that you see in the big picture of things where we are. This list goes on and on. Perform stress transformation, use Moore's circle. These things shouldn't make sense to you right now because we haven't learned them, and we will be coming to them. I can look at that and say, apply definition of normal stress and shear stress, that's chapter 1. Perform stress transformations, that's chapter 2. Use Moore's circle, chapter 2. Remember and apply definitions of strain, chapter 3. Strain transformations, chapter 3. Moore's circle for strain, chapter 3. And I can keep going because I've gone through this a couple of times. So, but I want you to understand there are very specific goals that I'm working toward, working forward to, working toward. Boom, 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 on down the list, all the way to 25. Now, in conjunction with this sheet, I've got another sheet, and it looks like, oh, maybe you don't get to see it. Hold on a second while I pause. This, it looks like this. Engineering 305, Mechanics and Materials Study Guide. And this lays out the equations that we're going to be using throughout the semester to accomplish all of the things that are part of those 25 objectives that I would like you to learn. So from chapter 1, that first objective, you are going to be held accountable for statics and dynamics knowledge. Here we go. Chapter 1, statics knowledge. Some of the forces equal to 0, some of the moments are equal to 0. Here are the equations we need from chapter 2 and some other stuff we're going to get into. Chapter 2. These are this is a big chunk of the course. Not a big chunk of the course. It's a big chunk of chapter 2. Big stuff to think about. We keep going on, chapter 3. And this document, I'll shrink this until it goes to 2 pages. Hey, look at that. It won't go to 2 pages. Oh, man, it goes to 5 pages. There's chapter 3, chapter 4. You can see we get some fun equations. We get some fun stuff. I don't know. I mean, you're going to run into some stuff like that, bigger than that in thermo, but good stuff. Here's an overview. Here's everything we're going to learn in a picture for chapters 1 through 4. And that's what the first test, that is what there used to be a big test. That is a summary of what those chapters are and would have been the first test if we weren't going to the new format. Chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7 and 8, and then an overview of chapters 5 through 9, because there is parallelism in the course. You will hear me talk about the literary elements of solving a problem. This course has some of those same elements of a story playing out in how the textbook was organized. And so 1 through 4 come together as a section, 5 through 9 come together as a section, and then chapter 9 kind of stands out on its own, and chapter 10 also stands out on its own. There are some other equations that we'll run into, and these show up in chapter 8, and moment properties, second moment of plane areas show up in a couple different places. We may want those, so I've included those. But those 2 documents should help you stay oriented to where we are and what equations am I going to be held accountable for as we go through this. Now, that also means I want you to understand what's on this sheet. I want you to be able to understand and work with these equations without the textbook so that you understand the equations. You don't need to go back to the textbook and look at that for guidance on how to use the equation, that you come to a test and you come to a quiz ready to use this document. So this would be available, and I will allow you to make notes on this document, but I would plan on probably printing this out, and as appropriate, maybe you want to take notes on this throughout the course of the semester so that it continues to add value to you. Now, I'll point out, you can see it at the top of the page. It's not very clear on what I'm looking at on your screen. This is the 8th version of this document, and that's come about because some years we add a new equation to this, and some years we fix a typo, and some years we add some further information to help explain some of these things. For example, this on page 1, this little coordinate system right here got added. Look at that red. Oh, it's black on this one. That coordinate system got added recently because it helps explain how we arrive at that angle theta and how theta is measured. And if we get that wrong, the whole system is wrong. So I took, we made a new version where we included that information so that things would be more clear. So this document and the other document on the learning objectives are going to be posted in the administrative section of Teams. They will be posted as PDFs, but you can open those and edit those. And if you would like to make suggestions on changes, I would be more than willing to entertain those. All right. Hope you're having a great day. See you in 2 weeks. It's still a long way off. Take care.